Parallel Frequencies with Just Blane and Coco and all the freaks out there. What's up, freaks?
What's up, freak?
I always like to say that and then give it a little beat because I feel like I can hear them.
We're like Dora the Explorer. We're like, how are you, freaks?
And
Great.
Exactly. That's kind of what we're doing. So when I say that, that's what I expect to happen. I think the people are answering us out there wherever they're at. What kind of movies have you seen lately, Coco?
We actually saw a movie in the theater over the weekend, which is crazy. I mean,
Whoa.
To actually get to the theater, we did like dine-in luxury seats for Valentine's Day weekend. Actually saw the romantic movie of the weekend, Wuthering Heights.
Oh.
Everybody's talking about it. It was incredible. I mean, I don't think people should expect it to follow the book too closely, but that's, it's loosely based. But I think the cinematic masterpiece that it was is going to be talked about in award season next year. I'm just giving a prediction right now. That's what I think. I love the way the sets and costume were all period, but not accurate. It was just like ramped up and very artistic and very almost like a really exaggerated stage set, if I could try to describe it. But I loved it. I'm all for it. And then the movie itself, the intensity, it was like taking everything that was sort of a suggestion in the book and then just making it like, we're gonna really ramp this up and put it straight away in your face. I was impressed. I was all for it.
Now, just give us a brief synopsis here of what is Wuthering Heights. Is this a big romance? What is this thing? Tell me what this story is all about.
Love story of all time, right? I mean, this is right up there with Romeo, Juliet, Tristan and Isolde. Like, this is one of those literary romances that is referred to, but also one of those tragic kind of, they kind of miss each other. Like they don't quite get to have the get married happily ever after kind of story. It's very wrapped up in the period of time that it was written. I mean, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, if anybody had any criticisms about Kathy, the main heroine of the story, and she's of a noble family, but they're very poor. Her father has gambled away, drunk away all their money, so she has nothing, and starving and cold and living on the moors, in the mists. I mean, it's all very dramatic, all very moody, all just, you can soak up the drama. But is it really her fault that she can't be with the man she loves, that she has to choose someone who will take care of her, that has money? I mean, she's put in a position that women of the time were put in, which is, we don't really have a whole lot of choices to us. Even in today's standards.
What is the period? What's the time period this is set in? Did you say that and I missed it? Or when is this? When is this set?
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure. What time period is it? I don't want to say it wrong. Time period.
Are we talking 1920s? Are we talking 1800s?
We're talking much, much earlier. 1700s, roughly. Okay. Early 19th century is what we've got here. Yeah, so Heathcliff is her love. They've known each other all their lives, and he has no money. He's of no title, no money. He was pulled off the streets like a orphaned street urchin type and then raised in her household. But she loves him and he loves her. They just unfortunately cannot be together. And it creates this like kind of moral dilemma. He leaves, but then he returns and they have this love affair. Is it really so wrong, or was it just circumstances that she wasn't allowed to marry the one she really loved? Or is this her taking back her destiny? And then like her husband, who she ends up marrying, is not a bad guy. Nothing wrong with him. So, I think this book has gone down in history with a lot of debate, a lot of really great analysis. It's a lot of people read it in high school or in college as like a literary study. So there's a lot to unpack with the storyline of that. And I can only just tell you that the entire time I watched the movie, what I was thinking of most was that scene in Friends when Phoebe is taking a class, like a literary studies class, and like community class, and she's really into it. She wants to read the books and really like learn something, but Rachel takes the class with her and Rachel doesn't read the book. And so she's like, what is this Wuthering Heights about? What is Wuthering Heights about? And Phoebe gets so sick of her cheating off of her that she tells her it's about cyborgs. Do you remember that scene?
I do.
The teacher's like, what does this book represent? And she's like, well, it's really ahead of its time.
What an episode. Whatever. So this movie, Wuthering Heights, you said cinematic experience.
Oh, for sure.
Gotta check it out. Cinematic experiences were and I say were, but they were very, very common in Robert Duvall's resume. Just got word he passed away. Robert Duvall's gone.
When
The
will
Godfather,
it end?
Apocalypse Now, The Apostle. He's older. He was in his 90s, I think. But yeah, we lost Robert Duvall.
Lived a good long life for sure, and a lot of movies to his credit.
I mean, The Godfather is the highest rated movie of all time. It's hard to disagree with, really. It really is a cinematic masterpiece. It really was. Yeah, he's gonna truly, sadly be missed. Thank you for all the great work.
Favorite Robert Duvall movie of all?
I love Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
I love that movie. So he's probably that one. Probably Apocalypse Now for me. What about you?
That's fair. This is going to be nobody else's favorite, I'm sure. So if anybody wants to pop into the comments and rail me for this, I will listen to what you have to say. But my favorite is Secondhand Lions with Michael Caine.
Okay.
That was my favorite one that he was in.
Look at that range, though, that Robert Duvall had. We talk about two different styles of movies. But yeah.
Very different movies, right?
Very, very different movies. But yeah, he's got a long, I'm looking at it right now, like crazy, what his resume had on it. The Gingerbread Man. Didn't even know that. How about that? He was in that abomination of a movie. But yeah, gonna be missed. But I think Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, those are some of my favorites from him. We got to go to Tube Tuesday, though. And Apple TV
I'm ready.
Put out another banger last year, actually, 2025, with Pluribus. Now, I watched this thing in real time, which means, I was watching it week to week to week. You got the luxury of binge watching this. And episode 4 through 8 were binge worthy. So that's why we're going to cover these all in one chunk instead of going episode by episode. Because to me, episode 4 was finally the turning point where you're not just watching this anymore. You're investigating. You're trying to figure out what's going on. But at the same time, you're like, are you sure me want to know what's going on? Did you feel that shift around episode 4, Coco? Like the air pressure changed? Maybe the writers walked out of the room and flipped the gravity switch off and, things went crazy. But did you feel that too? Hear about episode 4?
I feel like with our scheduling covering 1 through 3, and we've been doing it one episode at a time, but because it's a little bit of a, not a slow crawl as in it goes slowly, but like you really have to kind of take your time with it. It's a lot to unpack. And then it kind of is like the top of the slide where you get to the top of the slide and they're like, we're going now. Like we're off and running now. Like there's too much, it's rushing past your face. Your adrenaline is going and the investigation for sure, because we see Carol just really diving into it and going, all right, get out the whiteboard. Yeah. Get out the evidence. Start looking into everything. I want to know everything. Now, this is probably the writer in her that's like a researcher. I cannot say that I would be like that. I don't know if I'd be that invested. I think like I've said before on other shows, we've talked about it. I'd be like the guy hanging out in Vegas, probably.
Yeah. He's living his best life. Living his best life. Episode 4 is kind of where we realize that it isn't about the tech, it's about the story that's being built. The power, the control. How easily we volunteer for cages if they come with comfort. Once again, that guy's living his best life in Vegas, but he's in a cage.
Yeah.
Seriously, he's in a cage. Like, that's it. They control everything. These cages don't have to be, ones with bars and locks, because his suite in Vegas sure as hell ain't. But it's more of an identity cage or a narrative cage.
Yeah.
That hits hard in 2026 right now. This is what we're looking at. Once again, it's a mirror of what society's given us. At the same time, the way Pluribus frames authority, it's not showing it as a villain. And at the same time, you're like, who is the authority? Is it Carol? Is it the others? Is it the hive-mind?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or the immune group, which is Carol and the other 10 people, because they hold a lot of power here. And it's interesting to kind of look at that dynamic of being trapped and controlled at the same time that you have all the power. I mean, all they have to do is get really emotional and upset, and they've got millions of people dropping, won't survive that kind of emotional impact. We've seen that in previous episodes. So they have a lot of power. Carol could say, I want a nuclear weapon right now, and she could get it. They would just get it for her. They are limited to what Carol's investigations are finding. She's finding out they can't lie.
Yeah.
And it seems like they can't lie, but they're also a little diplomatic in the way a politician does. Every time she has a conversation with them and she's asking questions, they're kind of going, well, we would kind of wonder why you would want a nuclear weapon. But then ultimately we would trust you and we would hand it over. And so she's like, well, what is really going on here? And who really does have the power? Like when you give that power to just one person like Carol or a small group of people, they have all the power in the whole world. Is that why the hive mind may not give them as much freedom as they seem to at first give them? I
love that aspect, and that's got me over here thinking, well, who does have the power? Which one has the majority of the power? Like it's hard because they've got a different type of power. Carol can kill millions of them, but at the same time, they can pack their shit up and leave town and have nothing for her. So how does she survive without them? Yeah, they can probably survive without her. I think they can survive without her, but can she survive without them? Is where the real power is. I think that answer is no. I don't think she can survive without them. Yeah, well, and they kind of go through that with the she pushes the limits so far, becomes so dangerous, at least to them. She's such a threat to them that they're not abandoning her entirely, but they do remove themselves. And I think that whole experiment and how that plays out is really fascinating to me. As an emotional healer, I'm thinking about boundaries and how people can love unconditionally, but also hold boundaries as in, this is what I will do. Here's what I will tolerate. And I mean, whether we're pegging the hive mind as the monsters here or whether Carol is, I'm not really sure yet. I'm not sure it's that black and white, but I do think it's really interesting to watch the hive mind, the thems, the others, to just go, we love you, Carol. Pick up your phone and ask for absolutely anything, and we will make sure we get it to you. But we are removing ourselves from your presence at this time. And then you see everybody in the entire Albuquerque, or they're all just they're out. They leave. They're gone. I would love to have that voicemail as mine to tell people the way they did it. I'm here for you, but we need our space right now. We need our space. I thought that was incredible. Episodes 5 and 6. 4 is the big turn, really. 5 and 6 set up this psychological chess, like you're talking about, where it's characters. The characters aren't reacting anymore. They're like calculating. It's trying to figure it out. Nobody's purely a hero, purely a villain. everybody thinks they're justified in what they're doing. That's real life. That's the uncomfortable part. It's real. If you were in this system, would you fight it or optimize within it? Which one? Which one? Maybe I'm getting too philosophical. Somebody in the comments actually said that. Would you stop getting so philosophical because you're not very good at it?
I don't know about that. I beg to differ. I think philosophical is what we're here for. I think that that's how I watch movies and shows. I watch movies and I go, wow, this is such a really cool and interesting artistic expression of what we go through all the time. We may not be going through the exact circumstances in Pluribus, although it's not out of the realm of reason that it could possibly happen in some way, shape, or form. But we are experiencing things in everyday life that give us these questions, of like, should I be interacting with in this way? What do I do with this if I'm faced with this decision? When Carol's alone, that's when you start to, that's when I bring back the Alone Arctic Circle show that I've been watching. And you're like, how long, if you can be provided for, I mean, even if you've got all your food and you've got, your basic comforts and you could probably physically live for some period of time, what do you do now with that time of being completely isolated or alone? So she's going into investigation mode. She's like, what's the deal with this dairy thing? She's like, they're drinking out of these cartons that say dairy, but it's not. And, it goes into that investigation, which is wild. But it does like beg the question, like, what would you do? I'm like a hunker down. I may not be partying in Vegas. Like I said, I probably wouldn't be like that, but I think I'd be like, well, I get to read all the books I've ever wanted to read, I guess. And this is what I'm going to be doing. That'd probably be me.
Yeah, I'd probably do the Vegas thing for a while. Then I would, sober up, have to, come to whatever moment. But yeah, I can see that. But that's crazy when they find out. Did you figure it out before? But that's crazy when they find out that they're eating people. They're eating each other.
I had an inkling. I was like, something's up here. I bet this is going to be something about.
But they even justify it. They even justify that and make it seem normal. And you're like, wait, am I falling for this? And like, as a viewer at home, you're like, am I falling for this? Is this okay? Hell no, it ain't okay to eat people. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, but then, this is so great because it's like moral conundrums, right? Carol is like shocked, just absolutely floored. And we are with her on that. At the beginning, we see some kind of human head inside of a wrapped frozen bag. And we're like, what? I am clutching my pearls. This is awful. But then when she gets to the Vegas guy, and I apologize, I'm not remembering his name. I'm just going to call him Vegas guy. But he gets to Vegas guy and she's like, you never believe this. And he's like, oh, that they reprocess, decompose like bodies. And she's like, yeah. He's like, oh, we have a video about it. Hold on. Let me show you this video. It'll explain everything. But then you do kind of get to the point where you're like, if this was the state of the world at this time and nothing can be wasted. I mean, if survival depends on it, and they're not killing people. Obviously, they care about human beings, even as a hive mind. The individuals are important enough to have saved Zosha when the bomb went off. They were all very concerned and they took her to the hospital and they took care of her and they made sure she survived. And if someone can be saved to live, they will do that. They're not going to be like, well, that's one less mouth to feed. Let's chuck them in the pile. So then it kind of makes you question, right? Like, where is the immorality and where's the line there?
A shout out to that video about eating the humans with that cameo, that strong cameo by John Cena, none other than.
This individual's name is John Cena.
Yeah, this individual's name is John. He played that part incredible. We're going to, like I said, he's retired from wrestling. I said this a while ago. He's going to continue to pop up and be a part of our daily lives. Episode 7, though, might be my favorite. Not because of the action, but because this is where we really see the human fracture. You start seeing how prolonged pressure, it really changes people. Loyalty becomes conditional. Trust becomes the currency. Truth becomes negotiable. That's where it gets real scary. It's kind of where that's why I leaned back in my chair and I was like, you know what? this ain't about their future. It's about right now, like right in this moment right now. And that's kind of what we're living in, a moment where reality itself feels customizable. That's what they're doing here. Everything in there is customizable. They can get it on demand. If they're one of the people who are not of the hive mind, their world is whatever they make it. Mm-hmm. And that makes it the truth around them. So if truth can be engineered in this society, then what does integrity and all that stuff even mean anymore? It's not there. And I think that's what episode 7 really broke down and showed, that fracture in human minds, you know? So what'd you see there? Yeah. What do you think?
Well, you know, it's again, this like dichotomy of extremes on both sides, like the deception, but also the extreme truth and honesty. I mean, in this hive mind, there can't be dishonesty. And she writes on her whiteboard as she's discovering they cannot lie. They can admit truths, we find out. They cannot tell her things if she didn't ask. Nope. But for a moment, she feels like there's some safety and security in the fact that they cannot lie. And then you almost feel like her relax. You almost feel her finally go, okay, well, I'm going to accept that maybe they eat people. Maybe they eat dead people to survive. Okay. But if they cannot lie, then I am dealing with something here that is actually really refreshingly honest and refreshingly safe. And I can at least trust that. And so moving forward, and then we get into Manusos. Is that his name? How do you say?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Into his reaction, because it's like Carol was already a little bit the extremist with the surviving members, where the immune members are like, I don't really get it. I don't really see the big deal. And she's like, what are you talking about? The world as we know it is ending. We have to do something. And then she is kind of actually the middle, whereas he is like, I'm doing something about it. When he arrives, there's this, all of a sudden she trusts them a whole lot more than she trusts this new guy that's also immune and who knows what his intentions are and who knows how that's going to go. So you feel that tension when he arrives, right? You're like,
big time. And that's the great part too about this whole thing. Episode 8 really lets the tension breathe, and it doesn't give you the answers. It gives you, consequences. I respected that. This show understands something that most creators forget. Audiences are smarter than what they are treated. And that's Vince Gilligan, once again. It lets the betrayal sting. It lets the silence speak. There's a moment in episode 8. Spoilers. Sure, they're there, but you know the one I'm talking about. The very end. She gets what she asked for. That, I guess, nuclear weapon. And it's all of us, not just her. It's all of us. That realization, the quiet, oh, this is real. Like, this just got real. It's not a spectacle. It's storytelling. They let it breathe. They let the tension, they let it rise and breathe. They don't got to tell you. It's not one of these shows out there that dumbs down now and tells you everything that you've missed so far because you were on your phone. You got to pay attention to it.
Right.
But I love that. And I also love that in these last half of the season, these episodes, they visually get colder. And I know this is by design. It's subtle, but I know it's got to be intentional. The lighting was tightened up. The spaces felt a little smaller. And that's because everything was closing in, but the truth was still expanding. And I think that was done on purpose by Vince Gilligan. So great filmmaking and storytelling all the way through for this whole season. I can't wait for season 2. But go back, because I know you got a couple points you want to hit about the end there with episode 8 and what I said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I'll just say that when Carol kind of relaxes into this life with Zosha, there's a couple of points to think about. One, that she didn't really trust this hive mind, but she kind of started leaning into Zosha particularly, which gives you sort of that question in your mind of like, how much are looks actually important?
Yeah.
Because one of the only reasons that Carol felt safe versus, I mean, any other individual that could have been brought into her sphere and had, you know, potentially sat there and ate eggs with her, or took her on a ski trip, or whatever, you know, they end up doing together. It's really her affinity to Zosha as the way she looks that kind of allows her to be like, well, maybe I should have just relaxed into this and entrusted it. And they've already told me that they won't do anything without my consent. So I'm good. I'll just live my life now, which is probably what I would have done in the beginning.
Yeah.
Not being super worried about whether or not I join the hive mind or not. But then you have, and I think it was a little bit earlier, but the other individual, I think she's in Peru. One of the members that was immune, and she was the one who right from the start was like, I want to join. I'm excited. They're going to come up with a way to fix this for me so that I can be part of the hive mind too. And when she does, that was a little bit more eye-opening in that maybe Carol and Manustos, maybe they have a point as to why they might fight this, because her individual, you know, individualness, her way of being in the world ceased to exist. And when they let the goat out and the goat was running along after her and she no longer cared about that goat, not in the way she did before as an individual, it starts to make you think. It starts to make you go, well, wait a minute, maybe this isn't something that should be accepted quite so easily. So episode 8 comes to that fruition, kind of like as like two planets colliding. It feels like two forces of thought that have been played around in this whole series so far just go, and now you're like, okay, now what? Now it's Carol and Manustos against the world, maybe?
With an atomic bomb, with a weapon.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do with that? Like, I love the way that they wrap this thing up, and it's layers. Like you're saying right there, what that is layers of storytelling. And they leave us with a cliffhanger that gives us more questions than answers, and we can't wait for season 2. And that's what a great show does. That's what Breaking Bad did. That's what all the other shows Vince Gilligan worked on. I think he even did Sons of Anarchy. I think that was him.
Ooh, that's a good series.
Maybe The Shield too. Maybe that was I might be getting some of those crossed up, but I believe he's in charge of a lot of that. And those were all storytelling, 101, all the way up to the advanced level courses. But that was some of the best TV there has been. I don't expect anything less from season 2. And like I said, Apple's got another hit on their hands.
Yeah.
Much like Severance and all these other sci-fi shows that they do.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is they do these sci-fi type shows, but they're not too far out of realism or realistic ideas or possibilities, especially with what we're seeing from tech. Honestly, Apple might be doing this to prepare us. They might be saying, you know what? We've got some people down in the basement working who don't know that they got an Audi that lives a lot, you know.
Right.
Maybe
what systems are put in place to protect us? What's the balance between systems that protect us and systems that oppress us? And how do we come to terms with that? I think the show Silo on Apple, another great one too. If you like Pluribus and if you liked Severance, I think that would be a great one to follow this up with is Silo.
Absolutely. Episodes 4 through 8 of Pluribus really amped it up. Like I said, it's hard not to binge. Once you get to episode 4, you're like, oh, I got to keep watching. And you can't stop. That's why we wanted to cover them all here. So let's just keep it going. We're going to do what next week? Tuesday's got Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming up. Is that what I heard?
Yep, that's what I've got on my schedule. Let's go. I'm going to have to binge some of those episodes before we get to next week.
The finales this week, I believe I saw. I'm telling you, I'm caught up. This is going to be hyped. I can't wait to talk about that one. Parallel Frequencies with Just Blane and Coco. We'll see you on the other side.